The identity is obviously more important, because you know what makes our Gorkhaland issue, our agitation, unique. When it was started in 2007, it was not about development. It was not about the basic necessities. It was not about having good roads and clean hygienic areas. No, it was because we wanted our identity back.
Every citizens of Darjeeling wants to have Gorkhaland state. Why? Because there's an answer for why. Because you see, like, whichever solution for demand of Gorkhaland coming, the temporary solution, maybe for 2 years, 3 years, maybe for 10 years. But again, those temporary solutions are getting failure. And again, the new voice of Gorkhaland demand is coming up.
This term Gorkhaland, it means our identity. And right now, what I am seeing as a citizen of Darjeeling or India is that we are, like, our democracy is being murdered.
Protests and bandhs have brought Darjeeling to a standstill.
We want separatist Gorkhaland! Gorkhaland! Gorkhaland!
Not a single day in the whole month of June passed without some form of agitation breaking out in this once upon a time Queen of Hill Stations. The British built Darjeeling because of what they referred to as the home weather. And it is to flee the heat of the plains that Darjeeling is still the choicest destination for tourists of West Bengal and beyond. But in June, those unlucky tourists who had come looking for respite from the heat got stranded in the hills because of the heat of the Gorkhaland agitation.
আপনি কোথা থেকে এসেছেন?
বাঁকুড়া থেকে।
তো আপনারা এখন এখানে ওয়েট করছেন, গাড়ি পাননি?
না, গাড়ি আমরা পাইনি।
তো কিভাবে ফিরবেন ভাবছেন?
আমরা ভাবছি গাড়ি এখান থেকে দিলে আমরা বাড়ি যাব।
সরকার থেকে দিলে?
সরকার থেকে দিলে।
So people are waiting actually, because the government has announced that they are going to provide assistance. They are going to provide car. You can see, women out here with children out in the open waiting for the various, vehicles, if at all, being provided. আপনি কোথা থেকে এসেছেন?
আমরা বাঁকুড়া থেকে এসেছি। আমরা বাঁকুড়ার কতুলপুর থেকে এসেছি। আমরা আজ রাত 2টো থেকে।
মাঝখান থেকে কেটে বেরিয়ে যাচ্ছেন?
না, আমরা এসেছি 2-3 দিন, কিন্তু বন্ধের ব্যাপারে তো আমরা ডিস্টার্ব হচ্ছি, বা প্রতিদিন ট্রাফিক জ্যাম হচ্ছে। এইসব কারণে আমাদের ঘোরা ঠিকঠাক একদমই হয়নি। উপরন্তু প্রতিদিন রাতে গাড়ির আমরা এখনো পর্যন্ত কোনো আশা নেই আমাদের।
সরকারের তরফ থেকে আপনাদের কিছু বলা হয়েছে গাড়ি বন্ধ?
না, ওনারা আশ্বাস দিয়েছেন, কিন্তু যা দেখছি এখন আজ রাতে
যদি আজকে না পান, রাতে কোথায় থাকবেন?
ফুটপাতেই আমাদেরকে কাটাতে হবে, কারণ আমরা তো হোটেল ছেড়ে দিয়েছি না। এই বাচ্চা নিয়ে বৃষ্টি হলেও কিছু করার নেই।
It all started with a state government initiative to impose a rule that threatened the identity of the hill people. And the Pandora's box of Gorkha dispute burst open. A month after a parliamentary committee proposed the introduction of the Hindi language as a compulsory subject in schools across the country, an alarmed Trinamool government in West Bengal countered by announcing that Bangla will be made mandatory in schools across the state. The announcement was made by the state education minister on May 15th and then reiterated by the chief minister herself in a Facebook post on May 16th. It fireballed into an agitation that once again threatens to divide the state.
हम लोग का डिमांड है गोरखालैंड। ममता बनर्जी जो अत्याचार कर रहे हैं ये अच्छा नहीं है। हम लोग को आदमी लोग को कल निदान में गोली ठोक के मार दिया, 10 आदमी लोग को न्यूज में देखा रहा है, खाली 2।
ये ममता बनर्जी ने बोला पुलिस ने फायर नहीं किया।
पुलिस ने नहीं किया तो किसने किया? किसने किया? साफ साफ दिखा रहे, मीडिया में देखे, नेट में थोड़े सब में दिखा रहे। नीदार में ठोका है गोली, नीदार में। आम जनता को।
हम लोग का 3-3 4-4 बच्चा लोग मर गया है, तो शहीद हो रहा है। हम लोग को डिमांड है गोरखा लाइन का। मेरा तो ये कहना है, दार्जिलिंग का स्थिति क्या हो रहा है, यहाँ का जनता मोड़ रहा है ना।
देखिए, हमारा विदाउट आर्म्स है, ठीक है, लेकिन ममता बनर्जी बोल रहा है हम आतंकवादी है। क्या हम आतंकवादी है? ये गोरखा ने शांतिपूर्वक रैली किया है, जो दमन नीति चलाया है पश्चिम बंगाल सरकार ने, ये अच्छा नहीं है।
Realizing the political faux pas, Mamta Banerjee soon went back on her decision and announced that the hill districts would be spared from the diktat. But by then, things had spiraled out of her control. Even her ally, the GNLF, came out with daggers drawn. The Gorkha National Liberal Front issued a statement questioning Mamta's move, saying if she felt that what people eat is their fundamental right and freedom, and no one should interfere in people's choice of food, then why do you mindlessly interfere and force feed what language students need to study in schools as their third language? You vehemently advocate for one's choice for food to impress certain sections of voters and save your minority vote bank. But on the other hand, you forcefully, divisively and undemocratically issue a diktat imposing the third compulsory Bengali language option. The Chief Minister rushed to the hills to try and pour oil over troubled waters. After a gap of 45 years, a cabinet meet was once again held in Darjeeling on the 8th of June 2017. Gorkha Janmukti Morcha-led agitators attempted to march to the venue of the cabinet meeting, being presided over by the West Bengal Chief Minister. The agitators damaged police vehicles, setting some of them ablaze. The police retaliated by firing tear gas shells and lathi charging the violent GJM supporters. Later, the RB was deployed in Darjeeling town.
Governance is not to be done by people who are, talking big, who are threatening people. These things don't work. And therefore, I would imagine, much as we need a change of guard in Bengal, we also need a change of guard in Darjeeling. We need sensible leaders to come up in both Calcutta and Darjeeling. And I think this problem can be settled. It can be tackled. It can be tackled within the present framework of Bengal as well.
In March this year, Mamta Banerjee upgraded Mirik to a subdivision from a mere block in the Darjeeling district. 2 months later, Mirik paid back with a massive win for the Trinamool Congress in the civic polls. It was after a gap of 3 decades that a non-hill political party formed the local government at Mirik, leaving the GJM looking for an opportunity to undermine Mamta's influence in the region. The diktat to make Bangla compulsory in schools was just what the GJM needed to put TMC on the back foot.
Provided the Gorkhas are given sufficient confidence that what has happened this time will never happen again. Nothing will be imposed on them. Let them grow the way they feel like growing. We have no business to go and influence them. And for the very simple reason that we Bengalis are extremely sensitive about our identity. And if we are so sensitive about our identity, we have to be sensitive about somebody else's identity as well.
One thing spiraled into another, and the agitation against imposition of a language sparked off the old demand for a separate state for the Gorkhas of India. Questions and allegations of underdevelopment, neglect and gaping economic differences with the majority Bengalis resurfaced in the hills.
We are treated as the second-class citizen in our own very state of West Bengal. There was CPIM government which treated us the same way. Now there is this TMC government which is more worst.
We just speak Nepali. It doesn't mean we are from Nepal. We are like living in our country, that is India. And
that's something that you grew up with? All your, others also?
Yeah, we face all the times that problem. So, and other things like our daily problems issue, that this transport and all. If we get our demand Gorkhaland, which is our right, then we'll certainly that all that problems will vanish out.
कोई भी जातिगत आंदोलन को प्रशासन देकर दबा नहीं सकते हैं, उसका दूसरे कारण हो सकता है, लेकिन प्रशासन देकर राजनीतिक हल चाहिए और वार्ता चाहिए, और वार्ता में एक समझौता गोरखालैंड के सिवाय दूसरे होना नहीं चाहिए, ये हमारा मांग है.
As a series of bandhs and agitation continued to keep the Darjeeling hills on the boil, the Chief Minister decided to extend her stay in the hills. Darjeeling, the queen of hills, this summer became a nightmare for people living there and for those visiting. By mid-June, as police broke into GJM leader Bimal Gurung's house, his party called for an indefinite and total shutdown of the hills.
I would ask my camera person to show that Morcha supporters have dispersed in various areas and serpentine lanes of this Darjeeling district. And anywhere when they have seen, anywhere in any of the balconies, if they are seen, the police is literally threatening them to remain indoors. So, tense situation out here in Darjeeling. The situation on the ground here in Darjeeling seems to be escalating with each passing day after the violence that ensued right outside the Gorkha Janmukti Morcha headquarters in Singmari, in which several people have been injured, and the Gorkha Janmukti Morcha is claiming that several of their workers have been critically injured. Now, what you're seeing behind me is that, a few columns of army being quickly called in once again. Of course, the army had already been deployed in Darjeeling for over a week now, but now what we are seeing is that preparations are on to quickly send the army, and possibly they are now going to be deployed outside the party office in Singmari where the trouble broke out. This is the confrontation. Look there, Gorkha Janmukti Morcha supporters sloganeering, police below. You can see there on the hill, Gorkha Janmukti Morcha supporters, and look how the police is charging. Look how the police is charging towards them. Look at the body language. This is the sense of aggression. The police is charging at them. There are women supporters. Clearly, a message is being sent by the West Bengal state administration that enough is enough. They are not going to allow the situation in the hills to go out of control.
Soon, the Chief Minister and her entourage left the hills. She had to go for a UN meet at The Hague. But Darjeeling was mourning the lives lost in the agitation. A 24-hour window was given by the agitators for outstation students and tourists to clear out of the area. Everybody who had come in from outside rushed from the hills to safer, quieter and more stable locations in the plains below.
Because they're fighting down in our tea garden.
And are you scared?
Yeah, because Didis and all were very scared, and they said me, if they'll come up, that's why I sleep fast. They were scaring me like that, so I'm scared.
I think most probably I'm going to stay in Sikkim, and if in fact the strike is going, yes, if it is extended, then I might go back to Korea.
Everything is closed. It's impossible to buy food. Water is difficult, so that's why I leave.
No, we've just been told that there's a bus coming in a few hours, and hopefully we'll be able to get on it and get on out of here.
The people of the hill districts intensified their struggle. As their voices grew stronger and the decibels started to rise, police and army deployment began to grow proportionately. So did the clamour for sound bites, looking for a quick solution to the instability.
देखिए, हम लोग के पास सुबह खबर था कि यहाँ पे बहुत सारे लोगों को जमा किया है जीजेएमएम ने एक स्कूल में, नीचे स्कूल के पास गैरेज में, और उसके नीचे गांव के पास एक जगह में, और पार्टी ऑफिस में. तो हम लोगों ने उसके आधार पर आज ये रेड करने का प्लान बनाया था. कल रात की खबर थी, तो उसके आधार पे हम लोगों ने 3 जगहों पर रेड की है, और वो रेड के बाद ह्यूज क्वांटिटी में यहाँ पे प्रोहिबिटेड आर्म्स और बहुत ढेर सारा आपका एक्सप्लोजिव और कुछ कैश मिला है. कुछ क्या मतलब काफी कैश आप लोगों ने देखा ये वीडियो में.
At this point, because it's It's a complete shutdown. It's a total bandh that has been called by the Gorkha Janmukti Morcha along with tea unions and Morcha workers who had dispersed in this entire area in various buildings. They are being asked to remain inside. They've been literally given an ultimatum by the police to remain inside, not to venture outside, because the situation might go out of control.
Situation is under control, and 3 persons have been arrested for yesterday's incident.
Gradually, as the agitation fell into a pattern, the novelty factor began to lose its sheen for the national media. But the anger on the ground continues to simmer. The youth of Darjeeling say they want solutions to their problems. They say they are tired of the lack of development in education, medical facilities and employment opportunities in these hills.
Now see, right now we don't see any kind of future in Darjeeling because the exams, as I told you, that the exams which we were allowed to write in this particular, in Darjeeling, we are not being able to sit because we have to go down, move to the plains for writing our exams. And the SSC exams, it really doesn't, it's not there in hills. We have so many high schools in Darjeeling, but I don't know, why are they not sending for SSC exams and we're not being able to sit for SSC exams?
BSc करे सिर्फ पास कोर्स बायो पे एक्चुअली मुझे मेडिकल करना था पर यहाँ पे तो मेडिकल कॉलेजेस ही नहीं है उसकी वजह से आई कांट वहाँ पे जो जब हम बाहर जाते हैं वहाँ का तो परसेंटेज का कट ऑफ भी ज़्यादा होता है हमारा तो परसेंटेज भी उसका कट ऑफ अनुसार तो वहाँ का परसेंटेज कम मार्क नहीं कर पाते उसी की वजह से हमें कहीं पे एडमिशन लेना ही पड़ेगा सो इसके लिए मैंने यहाँ पे ज्वाइन किया
The Gorkhaland movement is not new. These problems are not new. The politicking over these issues is not new either. They date back decades and even centuries, when wars and deals between colonial powers and sovereign rulers denied the local populace their right to self-determination. Darjeeling is a combination of two Tibetan words. Dorje means thunderbolt and Ling means land. It is the land of thunderbolts. Nestled between Nepal, Sikkim and Bhutan, Darjeeling has been the crowning glory of Bengal since the days of the British Raj.
The story of Darjeeling, it's quite peculiar in the sense that the entire region of Darjeeling, it belonged to Sikkim. It was in the earlier 17th century, it was part of Sikkim. Kalimpong, of course, was part of Bhutan.
The tug of war with history dates back to Gorkha-led Nepali incursions in the Darjeeling area since the end of the 18th century, which was then under the rule of the Chogyal of Sikkim. The Anglo-Gorkha War of 1814-1816 ended in a treaty whereby Nepal seceded Darjeeling to the British. The East India Company then decided to give Darjeeling back to Sikkim, but kept open their own access to the region.
Major Lloyd, George Lloyd, and there was the Commissioner of Malda, Mr. Grant. So these two officers, they were sent to explore the area of Darjeeling, and when they went Darjeeling, they found it very suitable to build a sanatorium for its officers.
In time, Darjeeling became the summer capital of the Bengal Presidency. the tea industry flourished and became world famous. And as Darjeeling grew in importance, migrants, labor as well as clerical and administrative staff arrived from the plains. The local Gorkhas tried to fit into the changing times but were left behind in the developmental indices.
This is an area which is a part of Bengal but very different from the rest of Bengal in the sense that the majority population there are either Nepali speaking Gorkhas or Lepcha Bhutias who were the original inhabitants of the place, but then subsequently due to steady Nepali migration not only into Darjeeling but also in Sikkim, these areas have become Nepali majority.
In the 1980s, Subhash Ghishing led the fight for Gorkha defiance. He founded the GNLF, or the Gorkha National Liberation Front, and raised the demand for a separate Gorkha land. And the Darjeeling hills were on fire. Years of agitation and bloodshed took more than 1,000 lives before all parties agreed to accept the compromise of a Darjeeling Autonomous Hill Council within the state of West Bengal.
The GNLF took up this cause of separate statehood. They definitely had the people on the streets, but what they lacked was no intellectuals really came out in support, and also the media was strongly against the GNLF statehood movement. So, on the two fronts that they failed, those were the critical reasons why the GNLF movement also failed to succeed.
Since then, Darjeeling never allowed a political party from the plains of Bengal to enter the hills. The BJP became their ally and made inroads in the mountains. Jaswant Singh was elected as MP from Darjeeling constituency in 2010, and BJP has continued to hold on to the seat till date. Boosted by GJM support in 2014, the BJP manifesto promised Gorkha land. But as the agitation intensifies in the hills, the tone of the ruling party of India has now started to change. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee has been fighting BJP inroads in the hills with her own brand of politicking, like the creating of new opportunities by turning Mirik into a subdivision, by carving out Kalimpong as a separate district. The Autonomous Hill Council elections are just weeks away, and the GJM is fighting to retain its supremacy while the TMC wants to make its presence felt.
ये भाषा अपना माँ का भाषा है. भाषा में इधर उधर होगा तो पाकिस्तान में भी ऐसा भाषा का ऊपर में इधर उधर हुआ था और वहाँ पर बांग्लादेश बन गया. ऐसे ही सृष्टि हो जाएगा कल.
Once the queen of hills, today Darjeeling is a concrete jungle. Unplanned construction, chaotic traffic, poor garbage disposal, erratic electric supply, exploding population, and acute water scarcity makes daily life miserable. A slump in the tea industry has hit its economy hard, making tourism its sole sustenance. But the summer of 2017 has seen political unrest impacting the lifeline of Darjeeling. The land of thunderbolts has once again been struck by another bolt of man-made thunder, as the age-old fight between the people of the plains and the people of the hills continue to rock this Gorkha land of India.